everyone, welcome to this video lesson. So for this video lesson, we'll be talking about parabola, and actually introductory lesson pa ni siya about sa parabola. And basically ang atong focus ani kaning mga parabola nga ang iyahang vertex naa sa origin. So naay duha ka example that will be presented here, and hopefully kani nga mga examples makatabang sa inyo nga mas ma-deepen ninyo ang inyong pagsabot sa mga concept nga na-include ani nga lesson. So let's start. So we are now in the topic about parabola, and of course before ta mo proceed sa other nga mga activities or tasks, it is always important nga atong masabtan ang fundamental concept about parabola. So of course, we have to understand first the definition of a parabola. A parabola is the set of all points in a plane and fixed line. The fixed point is called the focus, and the fixed line is called the directrix. So we have here the set of all points. Okay? So naadira ang mga points, and in here, this is what we call as our focus. Okay, and then we have here our directrix. Now, if you will observe here, the distance, okay, the coordinate of our focus F is 0p, and the equation of our line directrix is y equals to negative p. What does this mean, no? Kung makita ninyo, this is a p here, and this one is a negative p. Basically, we can say that the distance of our focus to the vertex is just actually equal to the distance of the line, no, the directrix to the vertex. Okay? Ang kalayon, no, ang kalayon sa atong point F gikan diha sa vertex, ug ang kalayon sa ato ang directrix nga line paingon diha sa vertex, parihara na sila. Okay? And that is why you could see here, if this is P, and this would be negative P. So, kung ang imong P is 5, so that means ang imong directrix has the opposite direction. So, meaning gikan sa vertex, munaog ka og 5 units. So, that is the relationship of the focus and the directrix with respect to our vertex. Another one is that, in the parabola, of course, we know we have here a series of points. So, say, for example, you have one point, and let's call that as xy, no? And then, let's have the distance, no? The distance from the point P to F as FP. Let's call that as the distance, no? Kanisha, the line segment, the length of that line segment. So, in solving the distance of that, let's call that as FP. Now, if we have a line from point P going to the directrix, and this is perpendicular, no? Munay meaning ana, 90 degrees, so this is perpendicular. And the point of intersection, let's call that as point Q. Now, take note, since perpendicular man na sila, meaning tungod, kung ang x value sa P is x, that means the x value of Q is also x. Kay tungod raman, meaning parihara na sila og x din ha. Now, as long as this line is perpendicular to the directrix, okay, this would mean that the distance, no, the distance of this line segment and the distance of this line segment are equal. From that concept then, we have this expression that the distance of our line FP, line segment FP, is just equal to the distance of our line segment QP. And from there, we can apply the distance formula. And if we have FP, of course, we have x minus 0. No? Kung makita na, that's x minus 0 squared plus y minus p squared. And this is equals to this one. We have x minus x squared plus y. No? Y. Nahimo siyang plus, of course, kay negative man. Take note, that's minus supposed to be, but tungod kay negative ni ma-plus na siya. And of course, this will now be x squared, and this would still be y minus p squared. We are now simplifying, and this is 0, no, kay x minus x. So that's just basically 0 squared, and we have y plus p squared. So if we simplify this, of course, mawala na ning 0. So this is a very step-by-step solution para makita ninyo ang flow, no. But basically, this will be equivalent to this one. And if you can remember, no, let me have my pen. If you can remember, para mawala ng mga square root, no? We have to raise the both sides of the equation to the power of 2. Muna'y nahitabo din ha, no? Muna'y nahitabo nga kana siya, nawala ang square root, then hinga part na sa solution. Wala na kay square root. Kaya ang nahitabuan na, kani silang, let me erase this one here, and write it properly, para makita ninyo tarong, okay? So, ang nahitabuan nawala ang atong parenthesis diri sa last part of our solution because we raise both sides of the equation to the power of 2, okay? Now, as you can see here, we also expanded this. So, we have x squared, and that's y squared minus 2py plus p squared. And the same thing here happens, ma-expand man na siya, so you have y squared plus 2py plus p squared. Now, as you can see here, of course, kana siya, makancel man na siya, no? Okay, and then this one also will be canceled out here. This will be canceled out here. Now, kaning negative 2py, kung atong gusto nga ipabilin ra ang x squared diri, no? Kana siya kung ato na siya ipabilin. So, that means i-transfer na to kaning negative 2py dito. Of course, ma-positive man ni siya. Muning naataani nga equation. Now, this is represented by this. So, this is the first. Coming from this equation, nga x squared equals to 4py, the graph of this, when p is greater than 0, that means when your p is positive, okay? Kapag yung p is positive, and then we have x squared equals 4py, ang iyahang graph is kanisya, okay? The one that we are looking at. If you would try to understand this equation, it actually tells us that for every value, no? For one value of y, you have two value of x. One is a positive and one is a negative. Kung tanaw na nimo nga graph, you can see here, no? Mga y values maninimo dinhi, of course, because it's the vertical axis. So, sa mga y values nimo, sa kada isa ka y value, no? Duha na ka x value, no? For every one y value, duha na ka x value. Ang isa is a positive x, and ang isa is a negative x. Okay, that's the meaning of that. Now, there are many ways that a parabola will be graphed, and we will be discussing that one. Okay, so mo ni atong gi-mention no nga naay lahi-lahi nga pamaagi sa pag-graph sa parabola, and nakabase na siya sa unsa ang imong equation and unsa ang value sa imuhang p. Now, ang parabola will open upward if you have x squared equals to 4py, given that your p is a positive number. Okay? So, kung x squared siya equals 4py, and then ang ihang p is positive, that parabola will open upward. Okay? Now, your parabola will open downward, no? Pa-downward ang iyang pag-open, kung ang imong equation is still x squared equals to 4py, but this time your p is now negative. Now, basically class, kay negative man ang imong p, ang mahitabo ani nga equation, no? Mag-negative na siya diha. Wala lang na siya gibutang nga negative, no? Because this is a default equation na. But when you already substitute your p, given nga ang p kay negative kay less than 0, ang mahitabo ani mag-negative ni siya dinhi. So, muna'y kalainan nilang duha. Kung ang imong x squared equals 4py is positive, that means your p is positive value. And it will open upward. Now, if your x squared will be equals to negative 4py, this means your p is less than 0, and mo na'y mahitabo, mag-open siya downward. Now, it will open to the right side, no? It will open to the right side if you have y squared equals to 4px, and when your p is a positive number. So, tanawa ang kalainan sa equation. Kung x squared siya, it's either it will open up or down. Kung x squared. Nakadepende na lang dayon na siya kung positive ba imong p or negative. Pag ang imuhang parabola, mag-open siya sa right or left, but pasabot y squared na siya. And then this will now be x here. No? Ang imuhang axis na sa parabola is the x na. Alright? And then the p is positive when the parabola is opening to the right. So, kung ang imong p is negative, this means your parabola is opening to the left. Okay, so familiarize yourself with these different situations, equations, and conditions para mas dali ninyo mag-graph ang parabola based on the given value of your p and on the equation. And so let's have an example on this. Okay, so we are now on the I'll show you portion or the easy portion. So, ani nga part, we show an example para mas masabtan nato ang mga concept nga atong gi-appeal ani nga discussion. So, we have this first example here. And our task is actually to find the vertex, the focus, and the directrix for the parabola defined by x squared equals to negative 12y. Then we need to sketch the graph, including the focus and the directrix, no? So, ato siyang i-draw sa Cartesian plane, and then dapat ma-appeal na tugbutang ang focus ug ang directrix. Now, take note that this is an x squared, okay? If you can recall, no, nagpakita ta shortly sa atong discussion sa upat ka pamaagi sa pag-graph sa parabola, and this one is an example of that. This is actually under the x squared equals to 4py, where our p is less than 0. Nga na nakaingon man ta nga this is less than 0. If you can see here, this is negative here. Kani nga portion diri is actually representing 4py. And since na negative man ni siya, this means to say our p is a negative value. And since x squared man ni siya, we know automatically, no? Katong dito tanan sa gipakita nato nga upat ka graph, ang iyang vertex adto are all at the origin. So this one, x squared equals to 4py where p is less than 0, our vertex here is actually at the origin. Okay, now again, since this is less than 0, kay negative 12y man ni siya, we already have in mind na ang ato ang parabola is opening downward. What we need to do is to solve this mathematically para mapakita nato kung pila gyud si p kay gamiton man na nato siya pag-graph later. Now, in here, we have this pattern already. We know that this is the equation that this given parabola having this equation is being pattern. No? Mo ni siya nga behavior siya naka-under. And so let's solve. Now we have here x squared equals to negative 12y. And as we have mentioned, this portion here is the 4py part. And that would mean we can have this 4py is equals to negative 12y. From here, nga nung ginani nato ni siya because we wanted to know exactly pila si p. Although kabalo na ta si p is negative, but pila gyud si p. So that means we want to solve p. Now, since gusto man nato i-solve si p, that means kana si 4 o si y, dapat tangtango na siya. And to do that, of course, we know that dapat mag-divide tag 4y dinhi para ma-equals to 1 na. And since nag-divide man tag 4y dinhi, you also have to divide 4y in this part of the equation on the right side. So basically, maingon ani na siya, no? Kaya nag-divide man tag 4y diri sa left side, of course, mawala na sila, mo nang p na lang ang mabilin. And again, since nag-divide man ka og 4y sa left, you need to also divide 4y on the right side. So that's why we have this one. Now, of course, we know that makancel na siya. Okay? And so what will remain there is that you have negative 12 divided by 4. And of course, negative 12 divided by 4 is equals to negative 3. And this simply means our p is equals to negative 3. Now, from here, we can move forward nga mag-graph na. Okay? Take note nga ang focus is always equals to 0p. No? So that means ang atong focus dayani is 0 and negative 3. And of course, we know kay why I mentioned that one because ingon biya siya i-appeal na to pag-graph si focus o si directrix. And we know nga si directrix is the opposite of the p value. So kung negative 3 na siya, that means it's a positive 3 dito nasa y equals to 3 ang directrix. But anyway, let me show you on how to graph that one. We have this Cartesian plane in here, okay? And of course, we know the vertex is at the origin. Okay? Naa siya sa origin. Now, f is equals to 0p. Our p is negative 3. That means our focus is here, no? F is equals to 0 and negative 3, no? Muna siya. And again, in our first discussion, we know that the directrix is on the opposite side of the vertex. So, meaning, kung gikan sa vertex, ninaog tag katulo ka units, that means gikan sa vertex, musa ka tag katulo ka units. And that is why it becomes positive 3. And so, we have a directrix line there. Okay? And since this is a line, it is an equation of a line. So, what is the equation? Take note nga, ni-pass through the y-axis siya. So, that means this will be y equals to 3. Okay? That will be y equals to 3. Muna ang equation sa line sa atong directrix. Now, we need to know unsa kay ato amaning ko ano mag-draw man tag parabola pero wata ka balog unsa siya kabuka. Dito pwede magbuot-buot og drawing lang diha no kay naabi equation nga gi-follow niya. So what will I do is that akong i-substitute si negative 3. Kumbaga i-check na ko kung ang iyahang y is negative 3 asa ang iyang x ani and then dito na lang din ta mag-graph no. So akong i-substitute ang y equals to negative 3 dinhi sa ato ang equation nga x squared equals to 4py. I mean, in this equation, x squared equals to negative 12y. Para makabalo ko, if my y is negative 3, pila man na ang akong x. Take note, you have two values of x here. So from here, we are expecting one positive value of x and then one negative value of x. So let's solve that one. Now in here, again, gigamit na ko ni siya nga equation. Okay? So we have x squared equals to negative 12 times negative 3. I substitute here our y with the negative 3. So gusto na ko siya itungod lang diya sa focus. Now, negative 12 times negative 3 is of course as equals to 36. And I need to know the x. So gusto na ko kwaon ni siya ang squared. So as I have mentioned before, para mawala si squared, you simply have to get the square root of that. So the square and the square root are opposite operations of each other. Kung naa kay square root, gusto nimo siya tangtangon, you square that one. Kung naa kay square, gusto nimo na siya tangtangon, you do the square root. So para mawala ning square, mag-square root ko dinhi. And again, since equality man ni siya, mag-square root ko dinhi. Okay? So this is what will happen. Okay? Kay nag-square root man ko dinhi nga side, of course, mawala si square, so x na lang na. So, kay nag-square root man ko dinhi sa left side, mag-square root ko sa pika, so mahimo ni siyang square root of 36. So, if you look at here, our x has two values. We have one positive 6 and the other one is a negative 6. So, that means, naatay 2 points, no? Naatay 2 points nga pwede ma-plot diri sa atong graph. We have one is negative 6, negative 3, and the other one is a positive 6 and negative 3. So, if you can see here, we have these points, okay? Kani siya, mauni siya ang negative 6, negative 3. Because if you count this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's negative 6, negative 3. And this one, on the opposite side, you have positive 6 and negative 3. So, from there, bisag ka na lang, we can already have more or less an idea on how our parabola would look like. So, I can just have that as graph like that, okay? But actually, mas tada ni siya kung gamitan nato ni siya og GeoGebra. Okay, but I will just teach you on that on another video lesson. So more or less, our parabola would look like this, no? Dili lang gyud kaayo siya smooth nga pagka-graph. So of course, in your graphing activities, we can make that much more smoother. Okay? So we'll have to go to our next example. Okay, we are now on our second example. And again, we need to find the vertex, the focus, and directrix for the parabola, which is defined by y squared equals to 20x. Then we need to sketch the graph and include the focus and the directrix. So the same as our first example. Now this time we are in our y squared. So kung mubalik ta dito sa upat ka parabola nga presentation wherein the vertex at the origin, because this one is basically ang yung vertex ani is naagyapon sa origin no kay y squared raman siya dinhi and x raman ang naapo dito. So this one can either be opening to the left or the right. But if you see here, positive siya. Okay, so that means this one is pattern on the equation y squared equals to 4px, wherein our p is greater than 0, kay positive man siya. So kay atong p is positive man, that means this parabola will be opening to the right. No, it's actually a horizontal parabola nga opening to the right. Now, ang una natong buhaton is isolve sa nato pila atong p. Kabalo na ta nga positive ni no, but exactly pila gid siya. Again, our equation is y squared equals to 20x, and we know that 20x represents the 4px. So again, from here, we can create an expression nga 4px is equals to 20x. Okay? Now, our point of interest is para mahibawan na to ang p. So at the same, i-divide na to ang 4 of x para p na lang ang mabilin. And we will also do the same sa right side. So it will be like this, no? Our p will now be equal to 20x divided by 4x. And then again, this would be cancelled, no? Kanang mga x variable. And what will remain here is ang 20 divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that means our p is equals to 5. So after getting the value of our p, we can now proceed into our graphing. Again, our vertex here is at the origin. So from our Cartesian plane, we have that as our vertex, no, at the origin. And if our p is equals to 5, that means, and this is positive. So from the vertex, you go to the right, 5 units, kay positive man. So you will have it there, no, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And basically, this is represented by the focus. And this means our focus is 5, 0. And we know that the directrix is exactly the opposite, no? If you go 5 units to the right, that means from the vertex, matupugkag 5 units to the left. And so, our directrix is here. Okay? And that means, ang equation sa atong directrix is x is equals to negative 5. Okay, take note, this is passing through the x-axis, kaninga line, no? At negative 5. So, ang equation ana would be x equals to negative 5. Now, again, one thing that I do, no, my technique is when I graph, kay dili man nato mabaw-an so kung gamay ba ni siya nga graph, gamay ba iyahang buka ani, or wide ba ni siya. So, what I do is I assign 2 points here nga itungod lang nako sa focus, no? Para mabawalan na kung sa gid-akad ako ang iyang buka ani. So, that means I can substitute our x as equals to 5 using this equation here, okay? So, from y squared equals to 20, I substitute x into 5, no? Para matungod lang diha, and then para mabawalan na kung unsa ba ni siya nga bukad, ako ba ni siya, or gamay. And then we have 20 times 5 is 100, so you have y squared equals to 100. Again, we get the square root of the other side para mawala ang kuan, you just have to do the square root. So this will now be equals to y is equals to the positive and negative of the square root of 100. Again, getting the square root, you get two values. One is a positive and one is a negative. So that means for every x equals to 5, our y has two answers. One of it is a positive 10 and the other one is a negative 10. And so we have 2 points here, 5, 10, and then we also have 5 and this is negative, okay? I forgot to write the negative. So let me put it there na lang. Okay, no? So we have 5, 10 and 5, negative 10. So we have this point. This is our point represented by 5 and negative 10. And then this is for 5 and positive 10. So that means from this vertex, no, I can draw a graph there like that. And so it will be like that one. So that's how y is the graph of that. So that's it for this topic, introductory topic actually in parabola, wherein our vertex is at the origin. So this is it for this video lesson, and thank you again for listening. I'll see you on our next video lessons, and have a nice day everybody.